Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel for another tarot pick a card reading. In today's reading, we are going to be diving into what is ahead for you. So right now we are currently headed into Virgo season, which is normally a time of harvest. So I figured this would be a good time to get some messages out like this. But of course, if you're watching this video at a later date, that is okay. And this video is probably still meant for you. So that being said though, get yourself into a receptive mode so you can pick your card intuitively. And if you need to know how to pick a card using your intuition, check out the video I have linked down below as always on how to do that. But once you're ready to go, we have our group 1, group 2, and group 3. Timestamps are provided below. I'll see you at your time. Hey group 1, let's get started with your tarot pick a card reading today, all about what is ahead for you. So let's see what kind of things are going on. Place these cards. Your oracle card for the overall energy in which you're heading into is impossible things, working through disbelief, imaginative leaps, and fresh perspective. Some energies you'll be encountering is the 9th house, seeking. The archetype in which you're being asked to act in is beggar, confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humiliation, of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. Hopefully no humiliation's coming through this. Jeez Louise. And we also have ending for some themes here, and journey. Okay, wow. So we have journeying energy here twice, which is interesting. Let's dive into this though. So impossible things being the overall energy, working through disbelief, imaginative leaps, and fresh perspective. That makes a lot of sense actually with this 9th house in the journey part, because it's making me feel like this next chapter for you is going to be about finding out your next steps and really being able to plan things out through experience. I think a lot of people think that you have to do that kind of separately, like have a plan and then go and experience things. But it feels like for you, the experience is what's helping you make a plan. Because like it says here, working through disbelief, I feel like there's a lot of things that you don't know until you try. And that's a lot of, I think, maybe what is going on in your life right now, is that there is probably things, like it says here, that you had to confront. Like it says, at the level of physical survival. It wants you, it being this current energy that you're in, wants you to understand where you've been limiting yourself, because maybe you're living in survival mode. Maybe you're trying to find a purpose outside of yourself, but instead of doing that, you are so fixated on, you know, if you are even capable of doing that. Like that's what I'm kind of seeing here, is that there's a lot of things that you just don't really feel like you're the one to do, but that might be a misconception. That might be something that you're supposed to look into and see for maybe something else, is kind of what I'm getting here. We have endings. So it kind of is also giving the vibe that there is some like loose ends that you need to tie up. Perhaps that's what this journeying in this time is meant for you to do. If you might actually be going overseas or taking some kind of long extended trip, maybe not even overseas, just like, I don't know, 9th house and journey, a lot of that energy has to do with going somewhere. And not only is the experience, you know, different in the sense of like culture, or just it's taking you out of your normal element and into a new one where you can see maybe a different perspective on things. And maybe this is a spiritual perspective, gaining a little bit more spiritual influence in your goals and in your hopes and dreams is what I'm getting. Because it also says here, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. So it's like part of you maybe has been waiting for a call to action outside of yourself for so long. You know, you believed that the rite of passage had to be opened up before you could even approach the door. But I feel like that's where you might be realizing that as soon as you walk up to the door is janky. Like maybe there's holes in the door. Maybe it's like swinging on its hinges all weird. You know what I mean? Like maybe you'd realize, oh, I don't even want to go down that path, because the closer I got to it, the more I realized it's not what I want. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. There's a lot of things that I feel like you've discouraged yourself about that it's time for you to address for, you know, the opportunity it does show you, which is like a new kind of empowerment to have about what you want. Because the beggar, you know, we see it with the red clothing here, but it's saying the whole physical survival. This has something to do with your root chakra and finding stability in yourself, because that's the thing here, is of like, you might find yourself being stagnant or have been in the past and like not wanting to move because, like I said, you were so focused on this like really basic foundational need of, you know, can I handle this, essentially. And I feel like something about that mindset has really limited you and held you back and made you feel a little bit more insecure about things. So it's almost like you're getting this opportunity to see past that and to find new opportunities to work with and that actually work for you to feel a little bit more secure. Because I feel like that's part of the issue with this beggar energy coming out, is like what you need to embody is that it's time for you to see where the shadow energy is coming up. It says dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. You might just, like I said, it's one of those let go, let God moments where you're waiting for something to happen to you instead of putting in the actions and effort to, like I said, tie those loose ends up for yourself. So let's pull some more cards and see what to expect coming up. What is ahead for you guys? We have the 9 of Swords. The 7 of Pentacles. The Son of Cups. The World. And one more for you. The 3 of Cups. Interesting. I'm kind of getting, with Strength on the back of the deck, I'm kind of getting that maybe you've been looking for support. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the biggest message that I'm seeing here, is you've been looking for support and feeling like it's been denied you. You know, it's one of those things where I feel like you've looked for it so much and not seen it that you just feel like you can't see it anymore. And that's where I feel like there's a lot of issues coming up, because with the 9 of Swords here, this is a very distressed energy of being really in your head and concerned and also defeated in a lot of ways, but it's most of the time self-defeat because of this obsessive thought pattern and feeling almost like, I don't know. I mean, normally this card is someone like sitting in their bed in the dark with their hands on their face. So that's kind of what I'm getting here, is that there's like this almost hopeless attitude, you know, like just laying in bed, you're not taking the action. Actually, it's a lot like this card that we see here with the face thing going on. So I feel like there's some shame coming up for you to deal with. And I was kind of getting like the Sag Pluto energy here. So if you have that placement, that's kind of further confirmation. But I feel like there's some shame elements that you need to deal with on the level of survival and being just good enough, like I said, to handle things in general. Because that's what the 7 of Pentacles is to me normally, is being able to look at what you've done for yourself and what you haven't done for yourself and kind of evaluate that. But this is giving me kind of the idea that maybe it's helping you, like I said, see your spiritual rite of passage, because there's a lot of things that you continuously put your effort into, but you don't feel like you're ever really getting what you truly want to feel satisfied. And it's not that you're not meant to be satisfied, it's just that you're not taking yourself into like a new place, because it's almost like you're not accepting what you have realized. And that's what I'm kind of getting with the Son of Cups here in the World, and then leading into this 3 of Cups. I feel like you want to be recognized and to share kind of this, I don't know, this impossible thing with people. And I think the thing that feels impossible to you is like being able to just have what you want and to feel happy about what you have. Like there's certain things here about basic like serenity, I want to say, that you're tapping into, and you're trying to get a hang on and see if this is really what you're meant to be experiencing and stuff like that. Let's see what some fears we have coming up here, because there's definitely a lot of like fears I feel like that are being confronted right now. Fears of being chased. And we have Intruders, which is about a deep transformation that is needed. You know, it feels like, you know, and that's the thing, is like it's like you're running away from this feeling of inadequacy, and you try to make yourself aware of I think like other outlets, other ways to be, things that kind of like help you evade that responsibility of like looking inward and stuff like that. But that's what I feel like is coming up here in this time, and that makes a lot of sense because like I said, Virgo season is coming up, where you have to look with it. You have to understand, what is your goal? What is the end goal here for you? And are you following it intentionally, or are you, being kind of thwarted from other emotions, with other emotions? That's kind of what I'm getting here, is that there can be other emotions that influence you and push you in different directions, and that's almost what you're looking for. But that's where alignment comes in. And if you look at why you're actually looking for something, maybe it's unconscious, maybe it's something that's actually causing you this just stressed feeling about your efforts. So I'm feeling like there's some things that are playing into themselves, like some habits that you have that play into themselves that you're going to be figuring out. And like I said, it's going to be through putting yourself in experiences that maybe you've been running away from, because ultimately it's going to help you like tie up those loose ends, like I keep saying, and have this deep inner transformation, maybe having more clarity on what it is that you want, why you want it, that sort of thing. And also, I mean, this part about the awakens of spiritual authority, of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. That's so hard for me to say. The spiritual authority though is big, because that's the 9th house. That's the journey kind of thing, of like, knowing that you are the captain of your own ship kind of thing, is what I feel like you are learning in this time and what's coming up for you. And I think it can be uncomfortable at times, definitely can be uncomfortable at times. It gives you maybe an anxiety or a feeling of, like I said, lack, and like maybe you're just not there yet. But that's where you have that spiritual authority opportunity, where you get to decide, with your spiritual authority, what's the goal here? What do I want to achieve? What kind of connections do I want to experience that make me feel adequate, in like capable, that sort of thing. We think of like the strength card here in that aspect of like knowing that you are worthwhile, and that you can handle certain things. Like that's kind of what I'm seeing here, finding a certain kind of pride too, and refining that pride. I feel like it's kind of the theme that we're seeing play out for this next little chapter in your life. But a lot of it, I feel like, is going to come back to you just finding different experiences to put yourself in that help you work through these problems and disbeliefs that you have in yourself. Any kind of feeling that you have that like what you do isn't going to be worth it, it's actually about playing that out and being like, you know what, you're never going to know until you try. That I feel like is the biggest message for you guys here. So that being said, group 1, that is all I have for you guys. If you would like to dive into this deeper for a more personalized message, like a life path reading or something, I recommend doing so. Just check out the link below, as always, to my snip feed. If you like this video, of course, give it a thumbs up though, and subscribe to my channel for more intuitively channeled messages like this. And yeah, otherwise I'm gonna skedaddle, and I'll see you guys in a later reading. Peace. Hey group 2, let's get started with your tarot pick a card reading today, all about what is ahead for you, what to expect next in your life. So let's place your cards and dive right into it. So your overall energy for what you're going into is all in the golden afternoon, inspiration, creative spark, imagination, and conception. Some energies that you'll be focusing on is Jupiter. The archetype in which you are being asked to act in is exorcist, freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And some themes, we have fresh start, wow, and chance, beautiful. Wow, okay, so this message already has a lighter tone to it. It gives this feeling of like, I mean, this is the first card in that deck, fresh start, chance, Jupiter, freeing yourself and others from destructive impulses. You're getting a new start, obviously. I mean, there's something big here about you being able to see things clearly and to have maybe just a more open perspective. Not even perspective. I feel like your energy in general is opening. Like, I wish the way okay, here's the imagery I'm getting, is like a lotus flower that was closed that is opening, which is a symbolic yes, a good feeling, a vibe that is being given to you is what this feels like. I feel like there's something that you wanted to take a chance on in the past that you might have needed a fresh start to have. And this is what we what we're seeing, you know, especially with the freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. There's something that you have confronted, or that you are going to be confronting, that is really going to help you see past any sort of road bumps. And actually, I feel like you're going to have a lot of faith in yourself and in your own creativity and in your own ability to manifest what you want. Jupiter energy here is giving me this kind of like, I mean, it's a positive energy in general, but it's really overtly positive in this reading. And I feel like part of that has to do with this all in the golden afternoon thing with the inspiration, creative spark. I mean, that and Jupiter energy go really well together. So it's giving me this impression, maybe you're going to be seeing a lot of things surfacing. Like I keep seeing buds and flowers and things opening up. So it's like finally you're seeing things move when maybe they didn't move for so long. And with Exorcist here, maybe you've had a lot of things that you've had to kind of sort out, you know, before we can manifest what we want. A lot of the time we have to look at what we don't want, what's not working for us, all the icky stuff, basically. Anything that we don't really want to, you know, claim, we have to claim it, and we have to go and purge that. And that's what this Exorcist energy is. And, you know, that is what we see with the Jupiter energy, is like letting things go so we can have new experiences, so we can grow, so we can be, you know, more of the potential that we seek to embody, I feel like. And that's what is being offered to you in this time, I feel like. With Fresh Start and Chance, there's definitely an opportunity for you to grow and experience things that maybe, you know, are once in a lifetime kind of things. That's what that Chance energy is giving to me. But let's pull some more cards for you guys to see what else you can expect going forward. What is ahead for you? New ideas. If you've been in like a creative rut, this is a good time for you to feel a restart and get back into gear, essentially. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Whoop. All right, we have the Six of Cups. Interesting. Okay, that's what I was kind of feeling too. It's almost like revisiting old ideas, like I said, that you, for a long time, this kind of giving me like Jupiter retrograde. Like for a long time, you might have been inspired about something or someone or just something like that that was really like, it hit your heartstrings. It made you feel really like kindredly connected to it, like something where it's just like almost unexplainable, but you know that that's where your soul's meant to be. And maybe, like I said, there was a lot of things that got in the way from you having this and having a chance with this kind of thing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And we have the Seven of Swords coming out. So it's interesting because that what was getting in the way of you having those things is this destructive self-sabotaging energy, which is, you know, I mean, that can be a lot of different things, but I feel like there is something here with the Jupiter energy where things are changing. You're growing out of that. Maybe you're connecting more with your higher self and spiritual values, and you're able to see now that, like, you know, maybe not being completely honest about, you know, maybe some of the destructive impulses that you have is actually the problem. And I think that's the thing here, is maybe there was a lot of things that you did for self-preservation reasons. You know, with this fox here, that definitely gives that impression that you are trying to keep yourself safe. But I think at a certain point you are going to realize that you're better off just taking the leap, just jumping and just being, you know, honest about what it is that you've invested in, even if it's been mostly under the surface. We have the Father of Swords. Let's keep pulling these cards. We have the Star. And we have the Ten of Cups. Oh my God, you guys, I love this reading right now. I'm sorry. This is giving me such good vibes. I don't know why I'm saying sorry about that. Obviously, you're probably happy to hear that too. But I just feel like I said, there was some things that it hit. And that's what I want to say. This is like a resonance card to me, where in the same way as Jupiter, it's like a signal, a symbol, something that you have been given by the graces of the universe almost, and that your soul recognized as that. And I think deeply invested in it in a way where, like I said, it was mainly underground, it was mainly internal, it was mainly something that you knew was kind of like a divine inspiration, but for whatever reason, maybe the spark couldn't take off. And like I said, a lot of that I think has to do with either you or people around you, or, you know, groups of people, whatever it may be, just not being completely honest about their feelings. And, you know, that's what the sword is hiding. There's something that is not being talked about, basically, because we're talking swords. This is air, intellect, that sort of thing. And with the Father of Swords here, I think, you know, this is showing almost a time to grow up and take responsibility for the ideas that you have, and, you know, the awareness that you have as well. We see this with the full spectrum color of the sword. You know, if we look at the star, that's also that same energy, or all the 10 of Cups coming together, which is like sustained quality happiness, you know, shared with other people. We see that almost as being an idea here. So maybe that, and it's interesting because the only card that doesn't have color is the 7 of Swords. It's like you take the color, the goodness out of your own life, your own situation at times, and you might not see that as what that is, you know, or like I said, maybe this is projected outward and you see this as somebody else doing it. But I really urge you to take it for what it's worth for you, and, you know, because that can allow that fresh start to happen. I feel like you are giving yourself a chance by not hiding your truth, by actually sharing it in a way where it's like, this is my idea, this is what I want, this is who I am, and this is where I want to go with things. And I feel like that, like, outright intentional directive is really what is going to help you get to where you want to be. Because with the star here, I feel like your goals are being obtained. They're right in front of you. The 10 of Cups shows me that. And it's something here that it's really just about stop sabotaging yourself. Let yourself have that fresh start. You know, let go of those destructive patterns. Like this says here, is fear of facing your own demons. Maybe there's a lot of times where, because of this kindred feeling you have, you are faced with your demons. You know, that is a signal to you that, hey, there's something deeper here, and your higher self calls on you to take care of that. But like I said, there's 2 ways that you can kind of go about that. You can sort of evade that responsibility and try to seem above it and like you don't really care in a detached sort of way, all the while knowing that there is this deep feeling, you know. And that's the thing, is that can build resentment, that can build this kind of slighty kind of energy where you're not being completely honest with yourself and others. So I feel like this is a turning point for you to have kind of this divine spark activate out of you in a way where you're like, you know what, I've sat on this enough, I've ruminated on it enough. You know, this is nostalgic energy a lot of the time. So there's definitely been time that you've invested in this already for you to make that clear-cut call and say, you know what, this is where I stand. This is what I want. These are my goals. These are my wishes. And honestly, I mean, I feel like you're willing to take the steps forward to do it. And it feels like the world is going to meet you with the 10 of Wands here. Or what is this? The 10 of Cups. It feels like there is support from the universe. And maybe that's the biggest thing, you know, for the while. There wasn't support from the universe. It was only like, I don't know, like this moment of, it's like a loop almost, like you're looping into the same problem or the same thing for you to let it go. But instead of recognizing it's time for you to let it go, you're just like, maybe this is not safe for me to do that. You know, there's fears surrounding that, which let's look at some fears that are being addressed right now, or just energies that are being addressed right now. We have castle, ancient buildings, or tombs, which often, you know, brings this energy of barrier, being protected and stuff like that. Let's see what else we got. We also have musical instruments. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like I was saying, you can be really walled off. I feel like you have a lot of things within you that you try to keep quiet. And a lot of that may be this individuality, this different part of you that is really not mainstream, has its own way of being, thinking, believing things should go. And like, I don't know, I feel like this unconventional attitude that you have is actually a basis for a lot of what your goals and wishes are. But because that's something you kind of just keep to yourself, it's almost like your goals and wishes can't be obtained or haven't been able to be obtained because you're really just kind of fearful of, you know, objectifying that part of yourself. I feel like maybe because a lot of people have seen it as something to objectify or, you know, judge, or I want to say crucify. You know, maybe there's people that just did not see you for the power that you had, or the power of your differences too. You know, that's Jupiter energy. A lot of the time it can be that group think. So maybe that's what you've been focused on, is like, is this gonna pass? Like, are people going to like this sort of thing? You know, that's kind of what I'm getting here. But with, I mean, the fresh start and chance, I feel like you are actually going to be supported for your oddities, for the ways that you go out of your way to say, this is who I am in my most unique fashion. And I think, like I said, it's going to be scary because you do have those walls built up. You are maybe afraid of being disillusioned, you know, about the sound of your own tune, essentially. But I think what is really helpful to know is that in the future, like I said, you are going to be supported if you come from a place that knows your uniqueness is valuable. And I just pulled the beach card again too. So the beach is all about like isolating yourself. And, you know, if we think about it, it's like people go to tropical islands and stuff like that just to be secluded on a beach. But at the same time, you know, if you were to get stuck on a deserted island, you would freak out. And that's kind of where you've been at, maybe. It's like trying to figure out, like, do I like my uniqueness and my, you know, my isolation and the luxury of that? Or do I, you know, kind of need more, essentially? And that those are kind of questions that I feel like you're having, and that's what this like creative spark is like the answer. But like I said, maybe you're afraid of that answer because of the way it's going to make you stand out or push you away from certain groups or things that you want to belong to and stuff like that. But I don't know, I think you might be worrying about things before you really should be, which might incite more conflict into those circumstances, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to pull a few more cards for you guys just to see like the other energies that are coming up, because I feel like there's something else here. All right, we have heart to heart and peace. Exactly. I feel like there is going to be an opportunity for you to come together and be honest about a part of yourself. And it's almost like laying it to rest, but not in a bad way where it's like gone, but laying it to rest in a way where it's like, I've been mulling on this idea for so long. I've been feeling this feeling for so long. I just need to get it out. And that's where you find peace. Maybe this is saying something that you've needed to say for a long time. Putting yourself out there, like I said, in ways that you've been wanting to, like that sort of thing. I feel like you're going to find peace in your heart by connecting and sharing with people your inner resources in your own unique way. So group 2, I hope this message resonated for you guys. And if you would like a deeper, more personalized message, I recommend booking a reading with me. It's a life path reading specifically. But oops, sorry, the dogs are barking. But that was all from me. Check out Snip Feed or my other videos for more. And I will talk to you guys in a later video. Peace. Hey, group 3, last but not least, let's dive into your reading all about what is ahead for you. So, without further ado, your oracle card for the overall energy is use your time well, make every moment count. I like how that card looks. Some things you'll be encountering, energies. We have the 7th house, relating. The archetype that you are being asked to act within is fool, fearlessly revealing emotion, helping people laugh at absurdity and hypocrisy. And then energies you should be experiencing is expansive and false mask. Those are your themes, I should say. So interesting. That's funny that we have the false mask here, expansive, and then like the fool energy. It really feels like you're going to be learning about kind of your authentic qualities in a way that you're going to feel, I think, happy about. And I want to say impressed by too. So maybe other people are going to be impressed by them, and maybe you're going to be impressed at how it works when you work with other people, because that's what the 7th house is all about, is your relationship with other people, normally one-to-one, those close companionships that we have. So with the use your time well, make every moment count, it almost feels like you are being you're going to be in a time where you have to really understand that what you're dealing with is kind of at a crucial point where you need to make decisions and kind of find your truth. And maybe not in a way that's super, super serious. You know, I don't think you're at the point where you need to it's not like you have a ton of pressure on you, but I think time is valuable right now. And the way that you handle things and the way you are approaching circumstances and maybe the time and quality of the time that you put into them is really going to matter in this phase. Because with Fool here, I mean, I feel like you're being asked to operate from a place that is open and honest about your true feelings, but not in a place, like I said, that's too serious, that's too forceful. It says denial of your emotional truth here, so that's also not a part that you want to play out. Like, you want to be real. And with the false mask and expansive, maybe you haven't been real for a minute now. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting the desk. Maybe you haven't been real what? Maybe you haven't been real for a while now, and you've found yourself in spaces where you're maybe just dissatisfied, or you feel like your time has kind of gone to waste. Well, this is where you can, I feel like, jump past that issue and start to see where you can kind of affect the situation differently. You know, maybe the time that you were spending with certain people or with certain things, like, you weren't being super honest and vulnerable. Maybe you were just trying to hide a lot of your true feelings and, you know, just trying to gain perspective and experience. But all the while, you were maybe discarding the part of you that needs to kind of reflect and look back at why you've, you know, decided to go about things the way you have and that sort of thing. It just feels like you're opening yourself up to other people and to things in a more raw and honest way. And, you know, that can go two ways, I guess. Just depending on how, like I said, you handle it. If you're too serious about it and kind of have too many expectations, that's where I feel like things cannot work as well in your favor. But the more light you are about it, and the more that you are just like, you know, going with the flow of taking off your mask, and like what I was saying is being kind of resourceful about the energy and time you're putting into people and situations and stuff like that, the more I feel like there's an opportunity for you to, you know, work with what's happening with you and to you and around you. Because I feel like things are working on a different kind of timeline than what you would want. Maybe it's faster, slower, whatever it is. You know, it's a general reading, so take it as it resonates for you. But it's one of those things where I feel like I said, the time is not working in your favor, it feels like. And so maybe it's about looking at why that is. You know, a lot of the time we might experience road bumps or things that just, you know, like I said, the timing issue. And let me just explain that. The time energy has a lot to do with Saturn. Saturn has a lot to do with our karma. So when we experience frustration, delays, blockages, obstacles, that sort of thing, that's because there's karma for us to figure out. And I feel like that karma was maybe you getting to a more authentic layer of yourself and to stop hiding the part of you that was, you know, had honest, true feelings about things. You know, I feel like there's something here about you, as it says, you're using humor to wound rather than liberate, or in denial of your emotional truth. Maybe you really do try to like hide the seriousness of your feelings and stuff like that. But I think it's time for you to be honest with yourself and recognize that maybe the delays that are happening are because it's something in you that needs to shift, that needs to change, that needs to, you know, that mask that needs to fall off. And you need to expand maybe your perspective on who you are to other people and how you're being. Because it's almost like you're being shallow with the 7th house here in the Fool. It's almost like you are not giving all of yourself to people, and then you're wondering why things aren't working out in your favor and why things aren't, you know, X, Y, and Z, just not panning out. But I feel like you're not really putting yourself out there like you think you are. You're being, you know, funny, you're being cheeky, cute, whatever, but it's not necessarily true to maybe your emotions. And that's how you're not using your time well. You're not being authentic to this part of you that may know that it, you know, wants to experience things and has some kind of feelings about that. And a lot of that could be experiencing other people and certain relationships and things like that. You know, there's certain things that I feel like you want to connect to and with, that you are just kind of playing it cool and trying not to seem that invested, even though you are. So let's see some more energy here. We have the Daughter of Pentacles. Exactly. Yeah. That is like, it's pre-investment almost, where it's like, not even pre-investment. It's like they've invested, but there's something here where it's like, I don't want to take this too seriously. And that's what I'm kind of getting here, is maybe there is a lot of like, I don't know, you want to take your time, but at the same time, I feel like you're almost taking your time in a way that is not conducive to what the time is asking you to do. Yeah, because then we have the 5 of Cups here. Exactly. You're not really recognizing that maybe this emotional distress or the issues that you're running into that you're trying to hide are the things that you're not supposed to be hiding anymore, that you should be confronting. And maybe they should be confronted with other people. Because, I mean, the false mask and the Fool, the 7th house, all of that, I mean, none of that would be a thing if there wasn't another person or somebody like that involved. So it does feel like that's the case. Yeah, we have the 4 of Wands here. So you've had a desire and a feeling for so long that I feel like you have not spoken on. You've not directly spoken on it, at least. Maybe you give like a little nudge here and there about it. But like I said, it's almost like you're trying not to take things too seriously. And that's where you're being guided to start, you know, taking them seriously, to start being more intentional and having some kind of direction that is authentic to you. Because I feel like you're, like I said, you keep trying to play it cool. You keep trying to tell yourself like, oh, I'm not like that invested in her. I'm not that, it's not that serious, but it is to you. And you know that. Yeah, exactly. The Tower. You know that. And I feel like this is going to be a time where you have kind of a breakthrough moment where you say, you have to almost say like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to invest in. Yeah, let me get one more card actually here for you. 10 of Wands. So I feel like, you know, whatever is in the beginning stages that you've been trying to keep there almost, you know, maybe you don't necessarily recognize that you've been trying to do that, but I think the way that you're looking at the situation definitely affects it and keeps you there. You know, this is a time for you to see what you want. And maybe, you know, some things are going to happen because you reveal your true feelings. I mean, with the Tower here, there's upheaval that always happens with the Tower. But I feel like that upheaval is going to help you see what you actually have a right to invest in. We have these 2 4s here in between the Tower. So it's almost like you have an idea about what you want to invest in. But after the Tower moment, it's going to be solidified for you. And you're going to be able to see, you know, the effort and how it's actually going to work out. And this 10 of Swords to me, or 10 of Wands, let me clarify that. I have the Son of Swords. Yeah, I feel like you know, there's a lot of things that you've been in the dark about, that you've kind of just let yourself be in the dark about, that you're going to address and kind of see for what's happening. Basically, you've been going through a lot, been doing a lot, been putting your energy in a lot of different dispersed places, and this is all about finding a little bit more direction. And maybe, you know, with that is going to come some hard conversations where you do have to address these investments and where you've been holding yourself back, and you know, where you might have been overcompensating and doing too much, because that's kind of what I see here, is like almost trying to front by saying things or talking a certain way or being a certain way, like something like that. Like you might have to address that and expand upon why that was, why you had that false mask. I feel like this is a time for honesty for you. And that's what, you know, you're making the moment count, is instead of having maybe shallow conversations that aren't really, you know, getting you fulfilled, I feel like you're going to be able to have those conversations that help you sort out all the confusion and clutter that, you know, you've been feeling inside. I feel like it just comes up more as like an anxiety or a depression sort of thing, or, you know, like feeling blocked, like I said, like all of these Saturn type things. But it's like you need to start looking at your time for the resources that it holds, especially as it relates to that time with other people and how you're displaying yourself to other people. So with what some of your fears may be to address right now, we have numbers, and we have being late, which is funny because I was feeling like timing with this energy. And again, we have this time energy. So I feel like there's something about you that's really anxious. It's almost like you feel like you're not on time or that you're missing out. Like, yeah, this does kind of give a FOMO energy. So instead of it's like trying to seem in the know so much that you've put yourself out of the know. You don't really know anymore. So it's kind of like you're having a rat race go on, or you're trying to keep up, when I think you need to slow down and merge to find maybe more of what it is that you are looking for. And that, in a sense of like that quality, that good quality connection that you, like I said, may be invested in, but don't really know how to like formulate into its own thing. Like that's what I feel like that Tower moment is going to be for you, is like really finally addressing that like elephant in the room essentially, and saying, this is actually how I feel about it. Like, I know I've been light about how I feel about it, but now this is my real truth about it. And, you know, for a moment, it might get heavy. It might be weird. You might be stuck feeling, like I said, anxious, but that's time for you to sort things out. And that's what you need to start seeing time as. The time, the waiting periods, the delays. It's time for you to look at yourself and fearlessly, like it says, reveal emotion and help yourself laugh at the absurdity and hypocrisy that you might be acting in. You know, it's having that kind of light attitude, but more towards yourself, and kind of seeing the messiness that you may act in. And like I said, seeing maybe the quality of that you can use for good, rather than, you know, kind of hiding away. Because I feel like that's what you do, is you use this part of you that could be reassuring yourself as a way to, like, just be like, oh yeah, I'm good, like everything's fine. When, you know, you might not be feeling that way, or you might not be, things might not be working out for you that way. But that's because you're not using your time and resources appropriately. You're not speaking on the things that you know you want. You're not doing the things you know you want. I mean, we have no sword energy here except for the Son of Swords, which clarified that 10 of Wands. So it's like, finally, once you hit that pressure point of this is almost too much to bear within, it comes out. And that's why it's like the mask comes off and he's already crying. There was already so much waiting on the other end. So I feel like that's what's happening for you, is you're able to finally see that, like I said, what that time energy held, that delay, what it was worth, and the fact that you are not late, you are just right on time. And it's just about figuring out what to do with that time in a better quality way, is how I'm kind of seeing this message for you guys, group 3. So if that message resonates for you guys, which I hope it did, give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe for more intuitively channeled messages. And if you want to go deeper into this and more personalized, check out my snip feed, which is linked down below as always, to book a reading. Otherwise, I'm going to skedaddle, and I will see you guys in a later reading.